I knew weddings were supposed to be about joy, but all I could think about was how sick it felt to clap for a man who was about to marry the wrong person. And the worst part? That man was my best friend. My best friend, my everything. It was a humid summer evening in Ohio, and the rehearsal dinner buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. Families toasted, bridesmaids gossiped, and I sat at the corner of the table, swirling the wine in my glass like it might give me the courage I'd been chasing for years. Across the room, Ethan laughed too hard, too bright, and the sound stabbed me in the chest like a cruel joke. That laugh had once belonged to us, to midnight drives and stolen moments by the river, not to the stranger in a white dress sitting at his side. Ethan had always been the type to shine. Broad shoulders, the kind of smile that turned heads in a grocery store, messy brown hair that never obeyed a comb. He'd been my best friend since high school, the boy who'd patched up my scraped knees after soccer practice, the boy who once stayed awake all night because I confessed I was scared of my father's temper. And now he was the boyno, the man standing just days away from saying vows that should have been mine to hear. The bride, Claire, was sweet in that distant way, the kind of woman who never said the wrong thing because she rarely said much at all. Couldn't hate her. I tried. God knows I tried. But hate wasn't the word, it was more like resentment mixed with envy. A silent scream asking why she got to hold him when I'd been holding on for years. I raised my glass and pretended to sip, my throat tight. My seat was far enough that Ethan's eyes barely skimmed me, but once in a while, just once in a while, his gaze landed, and in those brief flickers, I thought I saw it, hesitation. I should have left when the speeches ended. I should have gone home, locked the door, and drowned in Netflix and whiskey. Instead, I found myself in the empty parking lot minutes later, leaning against my car, head tilted to the sky. The stars weren't even visible, smothered by the glow of neon signs and cheap streetlights. My chest ached like it had for months, but sharper tonight, knowing tomorrow he'd slip the ring on her finger during the rehearsal and practice the words that would cut me in half. The sound of footsteps pulled me back. I didn't need to turn, I knew that stride, that wait, that quiet pause. "You disappeared?" Ethan said softly, like he was afraid of disturbing the silence. "Yeah," I muttered, eyes fixed on nothing. "Crowds aren't really my thing." He chuckled, that low, familiar sound, and leaned against the car beside me. "Too close. Always too close. Since when? You used to love parties. People change." My voice cracked before I could stop it. He tilted his head, studying me. "You're not happy for me, are you?" The question landed like a punch to the gut. I wanted to laugh, to lie, to make some dumb excuse, but the truth clawed at my throat. "You really want me to answer that?" His jaw tightened. For a second, neither of us spoke, the night thick between us. And then he said it so quietly I almost thought I imagined it. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm marrying the wrong person." The words froze me. My heart thudded so loud I was sure he could hear it. I turned to face him, really face him, and what I saw nearly unraveled me. Fear, longing, and something that looked a hell of a lot like love. "Then why are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Because it's easy. Because she's safe. Because I don't have the guts to." He stopped himself, dragging a hand through his hair. "Never mind." I swallowed hard. Every nerve in me screamed to close the distance, to grab his face, to kiss him like all the years of silence meant nothing. But I couldn't. Not when he still wore the chain Claire had gifted him. Not when tomorrow's rehearsal loomed like a sentence. So I did what I always did. He smiled, thin and brittle. "You don't owe me an explanation, Ethan." But he didn't smile back. His eyes lingered on me, heavy, burning, and for the first time in years, I wasn't sure if he was going to walk away or stay. By the time I got home, the night had already carved itself into my skin. I lay awake, replaying every syllable, every glance. Did he mean it? Did he really wonder? Or was it just nerves, cold feet before the big day? The next morning, I dragged myself out of bed, pulling on the same button-down I wore to work at the bookstore. Customers filed in and out, but I wasn't there. My body moved, my mouth spoke, But my mind was in that parking lot, standing next to him under the dim glow of a streetlight. When the bell above the door chimed, I didn't even look up. Not until I heard the voice. "You're avoiding me." My head snapped up. Ethan stood there. No tux, no bride, just jeans and a t-shirt, holding 2 coffees. He placed one on the counter without asking, like old times. "I'm working," I said, too flat, too defensive. "Bullshit." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Talk to me." The smell of coffee, the brush of his sleeve against mine, the way his eyes searched might was torture wrapped in familiarity. "About what, Ethan?" I snapped, louder than intended. A couple customers glanced over, and I forced a smile until they left. Then I whispered, "What do you want me to say? That I think you're making the biggest mistake of your life? That I stopped myself, pulse hammering. "That you what?" he pressed. I met his eyes, and for once I didn't look away. "That I love you. That I've loved you since we were kids. That I can't watch you marry her because every bone in my body is screaming that you belong with me." The words hung in the air, raw and shaking. His face shifted, a storm of emotions crashing all at once. But before he could speak, the door swung open. Claire walked in, radiant and oblivious, holding a garment bag. Ethan stiffened. I stepped back. The silence shattered like glass. And in that moment, I realized the game had just begun. The rehearsal dragged on like some cruel performance I never signed up for. I watched Ethan stand beside Claire, watched his lips form vows that weren't his truth, watched his hands tremble as he slid the ring onto her finger during practice. Everyone clapped, laughed, and praised them like they were perfect. But I saw it. I saw the tightness in his smile, the hesitation in his eyes, the way his chest rose and fell too quickly. I saw him, and maybe I was the only one who did. That night I didn't sleep. My heart pounded with questions I couldn't escape. Was I selfish for wanting him to break it all apart? Was I cruel for wanting him to choose me, even if it meant leaving her standing at the altar? Or was it simply love, messy, complicated, raw love that refused to be silenced? The morning of the wedding arrived with a heavy sky, clouds hanging low as if the world itself held its breath. I dressed in a suit, every movement mechanical, and drove to the church. The pews filled with smiling faces, camera flashes, and the scent of flowers so sweet it made me nauseous. When Ethan walked down the aisle, my chest clenched. He was devastating in his suit, sharp lines softened by his trembling hands. Claire followed soon after, her gown shimmering under the stained glass light. The crowd sighed in unison, but my stomach turned. And then the ceremony began. The priest spoke, words about love and eternity echoing in the vaulted space. Ethan's jaw tightened, his gaze darting once, twice toward me. Every time our eyes met, it was like a spark I couldn't hide from. My palms sweated. My throat burned. My body screamed to stand, to speak, to stop this. "If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace." The words landed like a gunshot. My pulse roared in my ears. My lips parted. I could end this. I could claim him. But silence filled the church. I stayed seated. And then Ethan did the unthinkable. "I can't," he whispered. The priest froze. Claire's face paled. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ethan's voice grew stronger, shaking but unyielding. "I can't marry her. Not because she isn't wonderful. She is, but because my heart belongs to someone else." Every breath in the room stilled. Claire staggered back, confusion and heartbreak flashing across her face. And then slowly, unbearably slowly, Ethan turned his eyes to me. Felt like being struck by lightning. Everyone turned, whispers crashing like waves, but I couldn't hear them. I only heard him. The silence didn't last long. Claire broke it, her voice trembling but steady. "It's him, isn't it?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Yes." Gasps erupted. Someone dropped their program. My body burned. My lungs fought for air. But Ethan's gaze never wavered. He had chosen. He had chosen me. Claire's eyes filled, but instead of fury, she let out a broken laugh. "God, I should have known. The way you looked at him. It was never the way you looked at me. She wiped a tear and shook her head. You could have told me sooner, Ethan. I know, he whispered. I'm sorry. Her hand lingered on his arm, soft, forgiving in its own way. Be brave, at least. Don't waste this. And then she walked away, her veil trailing behind like the end of a dream. The church erupted in chaos, family members arguing, voices clashing, but I couldn't move. My feet were stone. Until Ethan walked straight to me. I'm sorry, he said, standing in front of me, his voice raw. I should have said it years ago. I should have been yours years ago. You don't know what you're doing, I whispered, my throat tight. This is your wedding day, Ethan. You just broke a woman's heart. People will hate you. They'll hate us. His hands cupped my face, firm and trembling all at once. Let them. I'd rather be hated for the truth than loved for a lie. I don't care about safe anymore. I care about you. And then he kissed me, right there, in the center of the church, surrounded by shock, whispers, and disapproval. His lips crashed onto mine with a desperation that had been building for years. It was messy, it was reckless, it was everything. And for the first time, the world felt right. The weeks after were hell and heaven. His family raged. Claire's parents spat venom. My bookstore became the center of town gossip. Some friends vanished, unable to accept us. Others stood by quietly, their silence louder than words. But through it all, Ethan never wavered. He moved into my tiny apartment, his boxes stacked against my shelves of books. We ate cheap takeout on the floor, laughed over spilled soda, held each other through nights when the weight of rejection pressed too heavy. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, life began to feel ours. One night, months later, we drove out of town. The air was crisp, autumn leaves blazing in red and gold. We stopped at the river where we'd spent countless nights as teenagers, sitting on the hood of my car, watching the water shimmer under the moonlight. You know, Ethan said softly, when I was standing up there, about to say vows I didn't mean, all I could think was, what if I never tell him? What if I never let myself love him the way I want to? My chest tightened. And now, he turned to me, his smile small but sure. Now I know I'd rather face the world's anger than spend one more day pretending. The wind rustled the trees. The world felt still. I reached for his hand, and he squeezed it back, grounding me. So this is it? I asked quietly. Us against everything? He leaned closer, his forehead brushing mine. It's always been us. I just finally stopped running. The kiss that followed wasn't desperate like the first. It wasn't rushed or stolen. It was steady, certain, a promise etched in silence. And for the first time in years, I wasn't just his best friend. I was his destiny. Months later, at a quiet courthouse with no fanfare, no white dresses, no grand speeches, Ethan and I stood side by side. We signed papers with trembling hands, laughter bubbling up between us as if we couldn't believe we'd made it here. No flowers, no crowd, just us. When the clerk handed us the certificate, Ethan looked at me with tears in his eyes. Guess we did it backward, he joked. I grinned, my heart full. Maybe, but it feels right. And it did, because love wasn't about the perfect timing or the perfect setting. It was about courage, the courage to finally choose each other, even when the world told us not to. As we stepped out into the cool air, his hand warm in mine, I realized something I should have known all along. Some people spend their lives searching for destiny. Me? Mine had been beside me the whole time, laughing, hurting, growing, loving. And now, finally, he was mine. Forever. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.